I've never done anything like this. I've always been completely opposed to doing any sort of mindset videos because my belief is if you need some sort of work on your mindset, you're probably not going to be successful. And I believe that was a limiting belief of mine because I've had to work on my mindset. I've had to get mentored by other people, and I naturally will watch the type of mindset that they have and start doing the things that they're doing without even realizing it. And I believe that that's one of the reasons why I've been able to build a successful wholesaling company, a successful coaching business, is because of that mindset. And then as I've gone on to had the blessing of coaching people doing 100K a month, 500K a month, all the way up to $1 million a month, and then other people that are just getting started. And what I've noticed is some trends, and I've noticed some patterns. And a lot of it actually does come down to mindset on who's able to be super successful very quickly versus who stays stuck. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the tact. I'm not going to be talking about writing down your goals or doing any sort of meditation and manifesting anything. We're not talking about that. I'm going to be talking about the lessons and the trends that I've picked up from some of my mentors that are doing, multiple millions per month, some of our students that are doing multiple six figures per month, and things that I've learned along the way of my journey from building a multiple seven-figure a year wholesaling company and a coaching company as well. Now, if you're new to this channel, all we do is we teach individual wholesalers how to get to 7 figures per year. And then from there, we train their teams so their reps can start hitting 7 figures per year, and you can run a multi-7-figure wholesaling flipping organization. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. I promise, whether you are brand new or you are super experienced, you're going to get something out of this. When you are looking at our business model, a lot of times it attracts what I call brokies. There's nothing wrong with that. There's other industries that do this as well. Like anybody that's doing some sort of like AI automation right now, Amazon FBA back a couple of years ago, real estate agents, and essentially just low barrier to entry industries, right? With wholesaling, you don't really need money to get started, or you don't need a lot of money to get started. You don't need a sort of license or anything like that. And so it just attracts people that are kind of like, hey, this is a last resort, and I'm guessing this is going to be easy. And it's not your fault if you believe that. First of all, I think there's a lot of people that sell like get your first deal course, and they say like, hey, you can get into this with no money, just working in your free time. And those are all true statements. But if you don't have the right mindset, you're just not going to be successful. And so if you're looking at this like it's going to be easy, whatever you're getting into, if you're thinking that it's going to be easy, you're already setting yourself up for failure. And here's why. What's going to happen is anything that has a low barrier to entry is going to have competition, or anything that you can make a lot of money is going to have competition. That means there's people competing with you, which by nature means that it's not going to be super easy. There's going to be other people that are doing the same thing, and you're going to have to beat those people. And so when you're getting started, you're going to start running into some basic roadblock, right? Like you're not going to be able to talk to as many people as you want. You're not going to be able to make as many offers. People are going to tell you no. You're going to have to improve your sales process. Once you get your sales process down, you're going to get contracts. You're going to have to improve your dispo process. And business is just like that. I'll just tell you guys, like I remember talking to one of my students, and he's like, man, it's just like one thing after the other. Like I solve this thing, and then another thing comes up, and then I solve this thing and another thing comes up. And I was like, yeah, brother, it's business. What did you expect? And so like for this guy specifically, he came to me, he was really struggling to even get any sort of traction. He's been doing this for years. And then so finally, we work on a sales process. This guy starts converting, right? And he starts actually locking up contracts. And then what ends up happening is his contracts, they're hairy contracts. They have things that need to be solved. And so then he has to learn how to problem solve contracts to be able to dispo. And then he starts dispoing them, and he needs to learn how to hire somebody. It's like, that's just business, right? If you can't understand that, and if that scares you, you're better off just getting a job, right? Where you can do the same thing every single day. You're not going to have to get any better at anything. And if that's the thing that you want, that's completely okay. That's why there's a lot of people that work jobs, because running a business is stressful, and it does require a certain sort of mindset to go, hey, I'm going to run into problem after problem after problem. And honestly, my job as the business owner is just to solve problems as quickly as I can. So your business is always going to have some sort of problem. And so I'll give you an example of something like that really helped me. It shaped me when I was younger, and it's helped me have basically very little mindset issues. Is when I was getting out of high school, I decided I wanted to join the military. And I looked at what is the most difficult branch. And from everything I saw was the Marine Corps. Then I was like, what's the most difficult thing in the Marine Corps that you can do? What's the most elite group? And then I saw Force Recon. So I tried out for Force Recon, and like I had never really done anything that difficult in my life prior to joining the Marine Corps. But this was by far the most difficult thing that I had ever done. And so much to the point to where every single day, like I questioned if I was going to be able to do it every single day. You know, like you're waking up, every single thing of your body hurts. You literally are like, you have to do workouts for 6 to 8 hours a day. And when you wake up in the morning, like you're limping, you're stiff, everything hurts, you're exhausted. And then if you guys have ever been like sleep deprived, you know, that's where your mindset is the weakest, right? And so one of the things I had to learn while I was going through force recon training and while I was going through this selection is that I don't have to get through the entire, 5-week program. And then there was another 3-month program. I didn't have to get through all of it. All I had to do was make it through lunch and do the things that I was supposed to do. And then I had to make it through dinner after that. So the way that it would work is you get up in the morning before the sun comes up. It's like dark outside and they would just thrash you. They would try to make you quit. That's their job, is to try to make you quit, try to break you, right? And so, you'd be doing physical exercises, running up hills, bringing tires up mountains, holding, they call pig heads over your head. And they're just trying to get you to quit the entire time. And so sometimes you have to break it down even further where you have to go, okay, maybe I'm not going to make it to lunch, but I'm just going to make it through this one exercise. Then I'm going to make it through the next exercise. And I just did that. And then, 5 months later, I look back and now I'm a recon Marine. All the way to the last event where you're running through tear gas for 13 miles. You can't breathe. People are like clawing their eyes out. I was just like one step in front of the other. And so then I took that lesson that I learned and I brought that into when I started the wholesaling business. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be successful. I don't know if I'm ever going to run a successful business. And I never thought I was going to run a 7-figure wholesaling business. That was never even in my plan. I was just like, I want to make some active income. So when I leave the military, I don't have to work anymore. And what I would do is I would just commit that every single day I'm going to show up, I'm going to send my 500 texts, and then I'm going to talk to 10 sellers. That was my thing. And I did that for 8 months. 8 months straight without closing a single deal. And the reason that I was able to stick through it through those entire 8 months and do the same activity every single day is because I realized if I just take one step in front of the other and I learn something every single day, eventually I will be successful if there's other people that are successful. And a lot of that came from the military. And so like when I became a recon Marine, I finally realized, I was like, man, there was 120 people that started. We got down to 18. And then there was another 120 people class that they whittled down to about, 15 to 20 people. Then they started another group with those 2 classes and they whittled them down further. And I just realized if other people can do something, I can do it too. And so I don't look at other people like there's maybe some mindset stuff that I have to work on, like a few people like Elon Musk or Sam Altman or some of the greats, right? Where I'll go, okay, maybe I'm not that level. That's like genius level. But for the most part, there's a good majority of people that hit $1 million a month. You're still a small business at $1 million a month, according to the US, right? And so I just look at it. There's these other people that do it. What do they have that I don't have? And if I just do the same thing every single day and I get and do the activities and I improve every single day, is it likely or unlikely that I'm going to succeed? And so that's the first part, is you have to understand that if you're going into this and you expect it to be easy and you see all these other people and they're being successful and you just kind of write it off as like, okay, well, everybody's doing it, must be super easy. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot because eventually you're going to have obstacles. I can just tell you there are going to be obstacles and you need to be able to push through them. Now, one of the things that really helps, and I'll bring this back to my military service, is at the beginning, I didn't really know anybody. All the guys that I had came from infantry training with quit in like their first week. And so all my friends they already quit. I was like, all right, I need to find new friends. And I started seeing the guys that were at the front of the class. I was not at the front of the class at this time. I was never that great of a runner. And I was a decent swimmer, but like treading water, I wasn't that great at. So I just started seeing the guys that were doing really well. And what I decided to do is just go eat lunch with them. I was like, I'm just going to start being around these people. And what ended up happening is I started to identify with those people. So then when I started, when we're doing our runs, I would run as hard as I freaking could because I wanted to be there with my friends that I was eating lunch with. I didn't want to eat lunch with them. And they were like, oh, dude, saw you on the run today. You were back of the pack. No, I identified with these people. So I started running harder. And then I started being, second, third place. Sometimes I'd be first, right? In the runs because I would just be running as hard as I possibly can. Same thing with the swims. I'd be swimming as hard as I can. And I would be competing with the guys that I was eating lunch with because I identified with them. And I'll tell you something similar happened. I just invested $60,000 into a similar mastermind. And I am now the smallest guy in this group. There's a lot of guys doing, 7 figures per month, multi 7 figures per month. And me doing, a few $100,000 per month. That's very low compared to these other guys. And what I realized very quickly as I hop on these Zoom Zoom calls and I hop on these meetings is these guys are also just average people asking average questions. The difference is the amount of work that they're actually doing and that they're working on the right things. And already just by being in this group, without even talking about the stuff that I've learned, I leveled up my business massively. So this last month in September was by far our biggest month because of the things that I was doing. I just showed up as a different person because now I identify with these guys that are flying on private jet, that are buying, $5 million houses and driving around in Rolls Royce. And before, I never even really had those dreams of like flying private or driving a Rolls Royce. Not like super material, but I see that other people are doing it. So now I'm going, okay, well, why can't I do it? I expect things to be difficult, but those things have made it easier for me, which is being in the room with the right people, seeing that's possible, and then one step in front of the other every single day. Now, once you have that part down, where you break through and you start actually getting some traction, it's important that you have certain standards for yourself. And so your business is going to grow to your standards and nothing more. If your standards are weak, if you're not even holding yourself accountable, your business isn't going to grow. And so something very simple, I'm going to go through like something that newbies can do first, and I'll go a little bit more advanced. If you are just getting started and you are like, I don't know what activities I should even do. I'm not in the right rooms. I don't know what I should be doing. Just do this one thing. Make 2 offers direct to seller every single day. If you make 2 offers every single day, not 1 sometimes and 2 sometimes, but 2 offers minimum every single day, and you improve on your sales process every single day, you will find success. Because even if you're absolute crap at sales, you're just terrible at sales and you're closing at 10%, that's 1 contract a week. And so that's going to be 4 contracts per month. And let's say that, your underwriting's bad and 2 of them fall out. That's still 2 deals per month. And where I see people get stuck is they go, well, I don't have enough leads to call 2 sellers per day or to make 2 offers per day, or I don't have this or I don't have that. It's like, cool, man. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And if that's the mindset that you choose to have, is that you can't do it because you don't have enough leads, well, then just quit and go back to your job. That's certainly okay, right? But how can you start getting 2 offers a day? Well, 1, I'm sure you can find some sort of job. So like the average, I think like the minimum wage right now in most states is $15 an hour, right? About $2,300 a month. If that's you, where you're minimum wage, go get a job, go DoorDash, go do something, live off of $1,500 a month in the short term, right? If you have a family, like cut back on all of your expenses, live off the bare minimum, and save $500 to $1,000 per month to pull a cold call list, to get a dialer and dial people and talk to people. Like when I got started, the only time I had was when I got off work, and this was after my deployment. So luckily, I would get off relatively early, like 5 or 6 o'clock, and I would make sure I would do all of my work from when I got off work to when I went to bed. And I had to do that. I've had friends that have done this exact same thing, that have built successful businesses while they have a W-2. But you have to figure out how to do it. And so if you have to make 2 offers per day, what do you need to do? What list do I need to pull? Maybe I go call a foreclosure list. How do I do that? Okay, well, let me go talk to the county. Let me see if I can find a website that does that. We have freaking ChatGPT. ChatGPT can tell you just about how to do everything, right? You have YouTube. There are tons of people on YouTube that are talking about how to get your first deal, right? Now, a lot of them, they'll make it sound super, super easy. So you have to understand there's going to be obstacles, but you just got to figure out how to make 2 offers per day. And more importantly, you need to hold yourself to that standard of 2 offers per day. Now, let's say that you've been doing that. You start improving your sales process. You get in front of the right group. Like, for example, we have a school community where it's $197 per month. We have a weekly call. We have an entire program broken out on how to improve your sales process. Literally like a module for each part of the sales process, everything for how to get your first deal. We've got all of that inside there, plus a community where you can network with people and say, hey, I need an accountability partner to make sure that I'm getting my 2 offers per day, my 10 offers per week. Can anybody help hold me accountable? And you could just reach out and create a group. So all of that's in there. I'll actually drop a link in the description for our school community so you can have that resource. But once you have that, now you're going to start getting some contracts. And then the first thing you're going to think is, okay, well, I need to start hiring people. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they start hiring, is they just hire whoever is in front of them, right? They have no standards for hiring. They're like, oh, I know this guy who, wasn't successful wholesaling, so maybe I'll bring him onto my team and then he's going to do better. It's like, okay, well, if you treat your business like that, that's exactly what you're going to get. You need to gatekeep your business. You need to keep people out that are going to be a bad culture fit. And when people aren't a good culture fit, you need to remove them quickly. There is this mindset thing that happens when you make your first hire of, why would somebody come work with me, or why would somebody come work for me when, I'm really just getting started, or I don't have a lot to offer them. And this is where you have to show them the opportunity. So you have to say, hey, look, I'm going to give you this amount of opportunity. I'm going to give you this many leads. You're going to have to make this many offers, which should turn into this many contracts and this many closes. As long as you show up for the sales training every single day, you make your dials every single day, you do this every single day, then it's on you to hold them accountable. But guess what? If you've never learned how to hold yourself accountable, you're going to have no idea how to hold somebody else accountable. And so I talked about this on my live last week. When I was getting started and I started flipping properties, I wouldn't eat breakfast. I would go to jujitsu in the morning. I'd get up at 4:45, and then I'd come right back to work and I'd sit down and I would not eat a single thing until I had made 5 offers. I would not eat. And so what would happen is the hungrier I got, the more motivated I got to make offers. So I would start pushing really hard. And that was the standard that I held myself to. Don't eat until you make 5 offers. That way, when I have other reps and I bring reps onto my team and they need to make 2 offers per day, I know exactly how to hold them accountable to that. And I know what's going on in their mind when they feel like they're struggling. I know what I need to do when I've made my phone calls and I haven't talked to enough people. I know what process to go through in my CRM and go, hey, this is the list that you should start dialing. These are the people that are most likely to want to hear an offer. These are the people that are most likely to get a contract. And so that's a big part of it, is you have to learn how to hold yourself accountable before you can hold anybody else accountable. And you've probably been there. If you're sitting there right now and you've ever had a manager and this manager has never done anything close to what they're asking you to do, you're just not going to have any respect for them. And this is the cancer that I see kill businesses, is they have zero respect for the owner or they have zero respect for the sales manager. And if they don't have any respect for you, they're not going to do the things that they need to do to be successful. And then your business is just going to tank. Now, what actually builds respect is them knowing that you are there for them, that you can do the thing as well, and that you've done it. If you've done all of those things, they are going to respect you. And so I see this a lot where people are like, you just get these like lazy owners that are like, yeah, I just want to kind of have everybody, I'm the who, not how type of guy. I want to find out who can do it, not the how. It's like, all right, cool. But they need to have some sort of respect for you. And that respect's either going to come from the type of person you are and the habits that you have, or the skill set that you have. I've seen both. Both are okay. But if you have both together, meaning like you are the type of person that demands respect and you're also great at the thing that you do, that's where you build real leadership. And so if you want to grow your business, you have to have that mindset. You have to be the person that you want inside of your company. Now, the next thing that you're going to see as you start to grow your business is there is risk involved in any sort of business. And I think people want to get into business and think this isn't going to be risky, right? If you don't want risk, go get a job. If you want risk, you're going to have to join a business. Now, let's say that you put $1 into your business and you get $5 back. And that is repeatable. You have a process to repeat that. You've seen that over and over again, right? And it takes typically 60 days to get your money back. What else can you do that would give you a better return than that? And so at the end of the day, all business is it's calculated gambling. You have to be able to take some calculated gambles. And so if I am going to go to like a roulette table, I might know, okay, there's like a 50-50 chance if I put this in. I don't gamble at all. So with that way, because I like to gamble with the money where I have a sure shot. So if I go to a roulette table, let's say it's 50-50, like that's pretty high risk for me, that if I'm going to put this money, like I might lose it all. I also might get, double of it back, however that works. Or if I play poker, like you're weighing risk, but there's nothing that you could gamble that's as sure as a business where you have like a repeat process to be able to make money. Now it just comes to scaling. How do you actually grow your business, and how do you grow your business responsibly? And your business is ready to grow when your LTV to CAC hits at least a 5. Now let me explain what that means. So your LTV in wholesaling or flipping is essentially what you make gross profit on the deal. So if it's a flip, what you actually made minus all the, whatever the house cost you to buy, all of the expenses, your acquisitions commission plus your marketing. If it's wholesale, it's really just your marketing costs. So how much did it cost for you to acquire the deal? How much are you paying in commissions? So marketing, commissions, and then anything else that would cost you to actually get that deal. Sometimes we do like wholesale, make ready, things like that. And so let's say, for example, I have a $30,000 average deal size. I'm going to divide that by 5. That means $6,000, which means more than likely I'm out of that $30,000. I am going to spend 10% in commission, which is $3,000. So I have another $3,000 of wiggle room with my commissions and everything else. Once I hit that, I can go, okay, I am ready to actually start growing the business. Now what it takes is a little bit of risk on me to say, hey, if I up my spend 30%, is it likely for this to continue to grow? And what's going to happen is one of two things. Either you're going to increase your spend 30% and your business is just going to make more money, or it's going to make more profit, or something is going to break, right? So your team didn't have enough appointments, or your team had too many appointments. They weren't able to get to everybody. Your follow-ups started lack. Your dispo team wasn't ready for it, right? So you have to make a calculated risk. And the more that you do this, the more you're able to start predicting the future. I've made the mistake too many times of just dumping money into marketing, going, man, we are crushing it. Let me just double my ad spend. And I'll go from like 30K a month to 60K a month in ad spend. And I'll expect my business to double. But really what ends up happening is my conversions start dipping because I didn't ask myself, how many leads am I going to start getting? How many people do I need to actually call all of those leads? How many, what else is going to break? What are the things that are going to break? How can I keep an eye on all of this stuff? I didn't ask myself that. I just threw money at it, right? Which is the wrong way. So the mindset you need to start developing is to be able to gamble on yourself, but also do it slowly and do it responsibly and start looking for those bottlenecks. So every time you ramp up marketing spend, something is going to shift. If it doesn't, keep doing it, right? But more than likely, something's going to shift. And you have to look at that as not, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to spend 40K a month because it doesn't work. It's, I don't yet know how to spend 40K a month on ads and stay profitable. And so those are the skills that I need to develop, which is a huge reason why I ended up joining this mastermind, because I've realized, okay, at some point, there's just a different level of skill. Like I need to understand super high level management, right? I need to understand some of the things with payroll, right? There's just high level business stuff that I don't yet know how to do, but I can get in the right group and I can learn how to do those things. And so you have to have some level of risk tolerance if you really want to sustain and you want to make it to a multiple 7-figure a year business. You have to understand that sometimes you are going to spend money and it's not always going to come back right away. Sometimes you're going to make a bad gamble and sometimes there's going to be processes that weren't set up. But if you quit right there, now you've lost. But if you go, okay, well, I did this and I wasn't successful. What do I need to do next time to make sure I am? And you put those processes in place, then you're going to actually scale your business. So that's the next thing, is you need to understand risk. Now, I'll tell you another story is when I was started to flip, well, I'll just tell you in short, because you guys have probably heard this before. I lost $600,000 flipping properties, 600 grand in debt. And I had two options: file bankruptcy or figure it the F out. And so when I decided I was going to figure it out, I had to look at my risk. All right, well, I'm 600 grand in debt. I'm going to take out $18,000 to invest in my sales process, so that way I can get out of this, or I'm just going to file bankruptcy because I'm a sitting duck. And that was the gamble that I had to take. I had to say, if I become a savage at sales, is it unlikely that I will be successful? I was like, okay, well, yeah, it's unlikely. If I put everything into this and I really become the best at sales, this is just a sales business. Now I just need to call my leads and be able to make 2 offers a day, convert 2 contracts, and I'll be able to get out of this. And that's the reason why I got out of $600,000 in debt in 6 months. And that was tough because every day I was thinking, man, I've got all this debt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of this, but I had to put that aside and I had to focus on putting one step in front of the other, the same way that I got through my recon selection. And so if you're sitting there right now and you're in a bad spot, if you start giving yourself all that negative talk of, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of this, that's not actually serving you. The only thing that you can do is focus on your skills, take a bet on yourself to be able to get yourself out of this. And if you look at all the greats, that's what they've done, right? Elon Musk, he did that exact same thing, which is he took a bet on himself and it ended up paying off really big for him. Now, the last thing that you have to adopt if you want to run a successful business. So right now I am shooting this video from Medellin, Colombia. I live in another country. I live a pretty sick life, right? And I'm not saying that to flex. Like, I'm not the drive a Rolls Royce and, buy like $100,000 watches type of flex. Like, I just like to spend time with my family. That's what I care about. We've probably gone on like 6 vacations this year. We love going to the beach. I get to hang out with them whenever I want. That's what's important to me. And I've been able to run the business without having to worry about money. I don't have to think about any of that stuff. Really, the biggest stressor I have with money is like, how am I going to, get rid of my giant tax bill? And the reason that I've been able to do that is because I have shown my team that I am the type of person that can do the things that I'm asking them to do, and that I will do the things that I'm asking them to do. And so if you look at any of the greats, right? You look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is in the trenches. He considers himself more of a developer, or more of an engineer. And so he's in the trenches with Tesla, figuring out what they need to do with the cars. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, right? Helped code the first model of Facebook. If you look at any of the big guys, right? Steve Jobs is a great example, as he is an innovative person and people look up to him. Even though he might have been a dick, he was innovative. People knew that he could get this stuff done. And so a lot of times I see these people that, they want the lifestyle. They want to have a business that just works for them, that runs the bit, like, the business is everything's getting taken care of. And so you kind of have two options. If you just inherited a bunch of daddy's money, cool. Just go hire like a 400K a year COO to grow your business for you. Or if you sold and you exited a big company, go ahead and try it. I have yet to see somebody actually do that where they've exited a big company. They hired a 300 to 400K a year COO and then they grew their business for them. I haven't seen it. What I have seen is one of the old mentorships that I was in, guy closed a 600K wholesale deal and then went and found the best sales manager that is out there who now coaches for my group. And he put him on a big salary, gave him an equity percentage, and they grew their business from like 0 to 800K a month in, I don't know, less than 2 years, really fast, right? So you can have the right people, but the other part is even that owner was involved, and he was still, I remember when they're doing 800K a month, he's still doing all the things that he needs to do to be a good leader. And most of us don't come from daddy's money. Most of us didn't get lucky with a giant, $600,000 assignment fee. Most of us, right? So what do we need to do? We need to learn how to lead by example. That means that you invest in yourself, right? You invest in your own skills. You become a savage at sales. You become a savage at marketing, right? You build out all of your processes that work for you. You have to lead, but you have to lead yourself first. Be that person first. Then what you have to do is when you start bringing people on, you need to hold them accountable. If it took you, 6 days a week of sales training to get where you're at, do you not think it's probably going to take them the exact same amount of time? Do you think that they're not going to need 6 hours a week? Do you think they're not going to need to hit the same KPIs? They're going to need to do all of the same things. And if you've never done that, how do you expect to hold them accountable to that? And this is the only time where I see these sales managers that are actually running pretty successful businesses, but then they start to tank and they'll come to me and they'll ask for my help. They'll say, hey, we need to get our business back. Revenue's tanking, profits tanking. What do I need to do? And the only time that I see people still struggle after they go through and they start getting the sales training is that they can't get their team to actually show up and do the work. And so they have these big fat cat closers, these ego closers that think that they can't learn anything. And the reason they think they can't learn anything is there's no one in the company that's better than them. And it's a dangerous thing where your closer is the best one in the company and, they don't respect you at all. Now, again, like I said earlier, if they respect you, that's one thing. If you can also show them how to do something, that's like the deadly combo that actually wins. It actually wins leadership. And so it's how do you actually get them to show up, right? And you have to lead from example. You have to be that type of person. And it's little things that actually make or break the business. And for example, I have my team every single day, they wear a collared shirt, even though they work from home. And I know it sounds stupid, but it's standards, right? It's a standard that I uphold them to. They make 2 offers every single day. And if they don't make their 2 offers, I'm going to ask them first, why did they not make the offer? I'm going to ask them, how do they plan on making that up? And then I'm going to ask them, when are they going to let me know that that's done? And I ask them those 3 questions, and I'm going to check in on them at the end of the day to make sure that they actually did it. Now, if they're doing all of those things and they're still not locking up contracts, they know that they can reach out to me and I am going to help them get a deal. And I've helped them make a lot of money just because they've reached out to me and they say, hey, I need help with this. Can you hop on with the seller? Can you help coach me through this? Can we do a role play really quick? And if you can't do that for your team, or you don't have somebody that can do that for your team, what value are you actually providing them, right? And I'm talking specifically wholesaling and flipping businesses because there are other companies where like the product is just so good that you just have to continue to work on the product. I think like Simply is a great example of that. The product kind of sells itself. So all they really need to do is just keep dialing in the product and dialing in the product, right? For us, we run a marketing and sales organization. It really all does come down to sales leadership, at least to get to multiple 6 figures per month. Once you start breaking past that, there's probably going to be some other leadership things, but I don't talk about stuff where I haven't been, right? I talk about what have I actually learned. And so that's the mindset that you need to develop to run a successful business. The first thing is you got to understand that it's difficult and you got to be able to push through and put one foot in front of the other. The second thing is you got to uphold standards, and that's standards for yourself first. And then you have to understand how to analyze risk. And then lastly, you need to be the leader that your team actually needs. So you have to invest in yourself. You have to be the person that shows up every single day. And if you can't do that, that's fine, right? That's why people go work jobs. But if you want to run a successful business, these are the things that you need to do. So if you guys like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you guys want more stuff like this, just let me know. You can let me know in the chats, but we do videos like this every single week. So I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys go crush it.